welcome to week 2.
Woohoo! Of the Fair
Enough.
Cowl. Wow.
I watched it back. We did say it. Remember,
Oh,
you were
thank
like,
goodness.
did we not say the
Yes.
name? We did say the name.
We are knitting the Fair Enough Cowl
Yeah.
by @home_of_chords on Ravelry. And this is week 2, as Caitlin said.
Yeah, week 2. So if you're following along, knitting along with us, you may or may not have done your ribbing. If you're,
No
keeping
rush.
up to speed, but there's no rush. So if anyone has any questions about that,
Yeah.
we'll open it up to that. If you
Of course.
want to put them in the chat, I'm just gonna go to
Caitlin's just flipping over to the live
Yeah.
video now so she can watch the comments. So we are doing this cowl. Last week we talked about all of the pre-considerations, including our vendetta against swatching for this project for some reason. And we are hoping to get off to the color work part of the cowl this evening. So we'll talk about a couple of things before we get to the demonstration. So we're going to talk a little bit about increases, specific choices that she made in her pattern design. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to read a chart, because the color work is charted, and we've talked about charts before.
Yeah.
But for lace, I feel like.
Yes. Yes, we talked about it for the girl's best friend.
The shawl, and then
Yeah.
also for, I think the ranunculus, the revamped pattern had a little chart for the lace as well.
Okay. Okay.
And then we did some, I don't think we had a chart for the Felix, but
No.
yeah, so we've talked about charts in what I consider to be the more confusing method, which is like sort of a representative chart, where like this symbol means slips with knit, this one means yarn over. I love a good color work chart because it literally means it's like cross stitch. Colors go where they go.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about how to read the chart because we're working in the round, and then after that we will dive into the nitty gritty of knitting color work.
The nitty-gritty.
Oh, I was saying knitty with an N, not a K. And okay. Well, now she's got a little zoom of energy right there. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and then we're also going to talk about the jog.
Right, the job. Okay, so maybe we'll start right at the beginning.
Okay.
It's a very good place to start. Now, do they copyright strike you if you say the lyric instead of sing it? Okay, so if you go to the cowl instructions of your pattern, we had the section last week about casting on. We talked about ribbing. The pattern calls for 6 rounds of ribbing. And then you are going to cut your, actually no, you're not going to cut your rib color. If you're doing it the same way that I did with the main color versus the background, because you're going to use it pretty soon in the color work itself, so you don't need to cut it. But you are going to join your next color, and there is a specific instruction. Oh no, I'm getting ahead of myself. We got to make some more stitches.
Right. The
Yes.
make ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I'm getting flashbacks to the very first Felix video that we did. In which we're just sliding backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are going to need to put a make one stitch in a little high.
I'm just trying to get it
Fine.
secure.
Yes. So we're going to need to put some make ones in, and I think my understanding is one, like I said last week, your color work knitting might be a little bit smaller. Or a little bit tighter rather than just knitting standard. And so you might want to add in extra stitches, theoretically speaking, to give yourself a little bit more room to sort of counterbalance that increased tension. The other reason why you might want to add some stitches is to, again, give a nice contrast between the body and the rib, like have the rib sort of cinch in just a little bit at the top and at the bottom. That was sort of what I was thinking that extra increase was, because you're realistically just going to be adding another repeat essentially into your pattern.
Right.
Yeah. So we talked about like how you're going to cast on a repeat of 12, and so doing the same thing. We're just going to add those 12 stitches in evenly around. And so she's given you an instruction for the standard size of the pattern. We're totally slipping.
I'll figure it out.
We need some yarn. Yarn was the last time I think we had some yarn, and I'll just get lower and lower.
You know, Carrie's watching live.
Oh, hi Carrie. I hope you're enjoying this. Please laugh at us in the comments. So we're gonna put these make ones in. I was reviewing the pattern. So last week I spoke about the fact that I did more stitches. I think I did 130 something, 138 maybe. And you might wonder, well, does that mean I have to add more stitches around accordingly if I cast on more stitches? And the answer is no. You can, you use the same number of stitches around the full circumference, and so we'll all be adding the same number of stitches to our project. And so the only thing that will change is like how many stitches between your make ones. So in this case, if you cast on the number of stitches recommended in the pattern, then it gives you the number of stitches to skip between your make ones on that increase round. You'll have to adjust accordingly. Just divide your number by 12, and you'll be okay. So I just
It's all good.
no, we're good. I just feel like this is gonna be great. You know what? This is 100%. You're gonna speed this up and put this on Instagram to the Benny Hill, which I thought I wanted to do last time. Oh my god, it's really far down. Okay, so we're gonna demonstrate the make one at the end of this session, but in the meantime, it does specify a make one left. It doesn't matter whether you do a make one left or a make one right. You will get the same effect. If you prefer the make one right, we can demonstrate both, but it's okay. Either one is fine. You don't want to do a knit front and back, and that is because the knit front and back behaves differently. Oh yeah, smart. Just got it balanced on a paper towel roll. Oh yeah.
Is that fine?
Oh yeah, it looks great. It's not going anywhere. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
We'll take a picture at the end.
I was looking around my house for an object that was the right height, but
Oh my
also sturdy.
Okay. Okay. Make one right or make one left. It doesn't matter. Don't do a knit front and back.
Right.
When you're doing a knit front and back, you go into a stitch and you work that stitch and something in between.
Right.
When you do a make one right or make one left, you're just working in between the stitch. So your stitch count will be off if you do a knit front and back.
Right. That's right. And also you'll get like a bar.
Yes. Yeah, you'll get a...
Yeah, the make ones will look a lot more like a stockinette stitch.
Yeah.
So they'll kind of blend in.
So once you have all of your, that first round with your contrast color, or your background color I should call it, finished, she then recommends a particular technique to avoid a jog.
Okay.
Caitlin, what's a jog?
So a jog, you'll see it more prominently in stripes, because when you are knitting, when you're knitting in the round, you're building on that last row, and you're essentially going in a spiral. So if you think about those two stripes, they don't necessarily line up. There will be a little bit of what they call a jog. So there's a few different ways to
I'm trying to find mine.
to avoid a jog. There's always going to be kind of a little bit of one.
Yeah.
And that can kind of be like the back or the
Yes.
seam.
Exactly.
But there are some ways that you can minimize it.
I found the jog on this particular one. So I did not use the technique as specified in the pattern because I couldn't be bothered. And also I didn't think it through. Specifically, I didn't think, I thought that, I was like, I'm not going to do this for every single row. And I realized now, because of the way that this pattern is written and the short little repeats and the type of sort of more geometric, smaller repeats, that it's not going to be as noticeable to have a jog down the middle of it. So she's just doing it at the beginning. So if you want to see what the jog looks like, it's right here between right there.
It's
Yeah.
very hard to see.
It's hard to see. If you couldn't have told while Caitlin was talking about it, I would kept going through my cowl trying to find it.
Yeah, you can see it a little bit in this pattern.
Yes.
A
it's
little
right along
bit.
there.
Yeah. So this is the
Initiation cowl.
initiation cowl. So this is a regular row. So you can see kind of the cross there compared to this row. So there's a little bit of a, I don't want to say warp, but it's just kind of like, it has a slight slant to it.
Yeah, it's been shifted because you've got this, you're not making, like Caitlin said, you're not making the flat piece, you're making a spiral, and then each one goes slightly up. So on this kind of more, it's not really geometric, but it's more like a traditional fair isle, like the small little repeats. This kind of pattern, it's not going to be super easy for people to see. On a more, what do we call it? It's not picturesque, pictographic.
Pictograph.
Cowl, you are probably going to be able to notice it a bit more. And so, for instance, this designer didn't put the jog in the middle of the skull, they put it in the middle between them, so it would be slightly less noticeable. But then that's also just the back of the cowl.
Yeah.
So you can do the jog. The jog is just slipping that first stitch purlwise, and that's just sort of bringing it up a little bit. I've seen it in patterns, I think Turn a Square by Jared Flood.
Okay.
Also has like a jogless stripe.
I've seen some sock patterns that have jogless
Yes.
stripes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy enough to do.
And you don't have to do it for every row. Woo!
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So we're going to demonstrate that?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Well, I have knitting to do it. You could. The pause was like, oh, do I have anything in the round? Yes, we do have something in the round.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can demonstrate that as well. We're gonna do what we usually do, which is to do the talking and then move the camera down so we're not back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so once you have dealt with the jog, if you so desire, and you have done your make one increases, you will notice that again, we spoke about this last night, there's an instruction to change your needle size.
Yeah.
And that's just to, again, avoid that tightness that we all tend towards. Not everyone, but most people do.
We talked about that last week
We
too,
did.
right?
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind when you are switching to the color work.
And you will see that sort of in between each pattern section. Oh my God, it looks so good on camera.
Yeah.
Very
You picked
pleased.
really nice contrast colors for that. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got some plain rows sort of in between each motif. And so in the pattern, it directs you to go back to your smaller size. So you do like, this is on your you're ribbing to here, 4.5. This would be on your 5. This would be your 4.5, 5, 4.5, 5, and so on. I'm gonna confess that I definitely forgot several times.
Okay.
So
And let me inspect your work.
oh, what is it?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah. I mean, by all means,
Yeah.
if you have the needles and you want to do that, totally do that.
And also, again, depending on your particular experience and background, if you immediately with that first motif notice, wow, it got tight, get your fingers in there, stretching your work a little bit, seeing how those floats are landing up.
Yeah.
If you can see right off the bat that's going to be an issue, then correct for it by going up or going down in between to just sort of even and balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. So you did it for some of them, but not all of them?
Yeah,
Or
I
you-
tried to do that for all of
Okay.
them, and then I did catch myself at several moments looking down and going, "Well, move the wrong needle size."
Yeah.
And I was really excited because I had my new Luca interchangeable set, so I was like,
Oh,
I could just interchange the tips, and I just kept forgetting. Oh well.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice when a pattern includes little tips like that.
Yes.
Because it can really make a difference.
Yes, especially if
depending
you're
on-
a first-time
Yeah.
colorwork knitter, definitely. Okay, so should we talk charts?
Yeah.
Okay. So the
Charts are fun.
We're not gonna work directly off of the chart in the pattern because obviously it's not our pattern, but it comes with a chart. But we do have my chart for the sweater that I'm knitting that I spoke about last week. Would you like to talk about charts? It goes in this method.
Okay, so let me just look at your chart first.
Yes.
Yeah. So a chart, a knitting chart, we'll just bring it a little bit closer.
Yep. Good.
Yeah. So a chart is read from, oh, let me look at it. from the right side to the left side. From the right side to the left side, from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Whoop.
I
You see
know,
that?
it's quite shiny.
There's a glare. There you go.
Very shiny.
Okay. So if you think about the direction of your knitting, basically. So as you're knitting this piece from the bottom up.
This way.
Yeah.
And it's almost like 3D printing. You should see that chart come to life in front of you as you go. And in this particular pattern, you're just doing the same chunk over and over and over again. So you've got 12 stitches, you'll go across and repeat those 12 stitches on that row until you come around to the next one, and then you go up to the next.
Yeah. So this chunk is being repeated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no decreases in this pattern, but in a, like, let's say a hat pattern,
Yeah.
they would include, if the chart is written with decreases, they will include that up here.
Yeah.
And they'll explain all of that.
And you'll get like, usually if it's decreases, you'll get this like blacked out area, or like
Yeah.
it'll be gray or something like that.
Yeah.
And it'll kind of slope the way that, you know, almost like the segments of an orange peel or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Or like if you think about like if you took a globe and you,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's shaping up this way.
So this is a great pattern to start on if you're new to color work, because it's just straight
Yeah.
straight knitting.
And if you are struggling to keep track of what row you're on, there are lots of really cool things. I didn't bring it with me, but I have a really neat binder from Knitter's Pride that has like the magnets that hold it, and it's got a long strip magnet that you can put to block off what you're doing. And so it's great for chart reading. It's also really great if you're doing like a lace pattern that just has like, it doesn't have a chart, it's just endless rows of writing. Also a great way to figure out where you are, but you don't need that.
You can also check it off on the side.
Yep,
Emily's done here.
Side. And if you are struggling, get yourself some sticky notes and line it up. So you've got a sticky note here and a sticky note here.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And just isolate the one row that you're working on, and then when you've done that row, move your sticky notes up.
That's a great idea.
It was, when I learned how to do colorwork knitting, that was taught to me, and I was like,
Yeah. Or washi tape.
yeah, washi tape,
'Cause
anything that will come off.
Yeah, it might be washi tape might be good if you have a different length, you know.
That's right.
Post-it notes or
Yes.
a fixed length.
Yes, usually. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Does anyone have any questions about chart reading? We can also, I'll put this chart back up again and show you when we put the camera down for a demo. But yeah, I love chart reading. It is my preferred method of trying to capture a lot of different stuff happening in a single row. But it was really intimidating when I first tried it. So
Well, it definitely looks complicated, but if you think about it, if you just kind of break it down in terms of numbers, like for me anyway, what I do is I look at each row and I kind of try to get a little sense of numbers.
Yes.
So, and we can show you closer in the chart, but let's say a row, what row is this one? This first pink row. This first row that's like pink. Okay. So if you count it, it's 2 white, 1 pink, 3 white, 1 pink. So 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1.
Yeah.
So I kind of get a rhythm going with that.
Exactly.
And this is kind of a nice one to work with because it's very it's predictable.
Yes.
Right? There's that predictability compared to this one that has a lot of like you're almost drawing.
Yeah, this one, because it's and it's irregular, right? And it's quite a wide repeat too. So like you might have 5, 2, 1, 7, 3, 5, 1, whatever.
Yeah.
This one is like gonna be at max like 3 stitches.
Like 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3 kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is lovely when you hit that, because on the sweater that I'm knitting, I just finished a row of 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. I was like, I'm so
nice.
happy. I'm so happy. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, Farley's on the counter. Okay, so yeah, charts, lovely.
Yeah.
And just think about it as I realize that our audience is now aging into the part where people might not get the reference of like the printer,
Oh, yeah.
like the really old printers, the old like first round of like at home printers.
Yes.
But that's what I think of it. It's just like spitting out the text.
I think I need to intervene here.
Yes, it looks like he's gonna go eat a muffin. Okay, so, or whatever that is. Okay, so we have talked about chart reading. And before we dip into the demo, this is like the wildest KAL night ever. Sorry, guys. Before we jump into the demo portion and move our camera, let's talk about dominance. Yarn dominance.
Yes. So yarn dominance is where if you are knitting with two colors or two or more colors, you want your background color to fade back as opposed to
Shine forward. Oh my goodness.
yeah, what's the word? You want it to kind of hang back a little bit and let the contrast colors pop out a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in this, when I'm looking at it, I see the sort of burgundy popping out from the creamy background. But that is because I held my yarn and positioned my yarn in a very specific way. That is not a guarantee if you do this. And the thing is, if you aren't conscious of it right from the get-go, you might find that you switch as you progress through a project. Or, in my case, if you knit one mitten, holding the yarn a certain way, and then you pick up the second, oh, he's going back for the muffins, pick up the second mitten, and knit it holding the yarns a different way, you will get a very different look. And it's so weird because you're like, there's no way this is a real thing. It's a real thing. My jaw dropped when I realized what I was doing the first time. So traditionally, you want your foreground color. Wait, let me back up just a second. I want to preface this with setting you up visually speaking.
Okay.
So you are going to have, I'm just going to grab my demo piece here.
Your stunning demo piece.
My 4-year-old halfway done yoke.
Gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, May's up on the table. Okay, so I have, which I don't mind. Okay, so I've got my sweater in front of me. Got my sweater in front of me. And I have, this is right now my background color, and this is my foreground color. And I want my background color to be on the right side of my body. I want the foreground color to be on the left side of my body. And then when I have my yarn coming off of the back of my needles, I want my background to be up and I want my foreground to be down. So you want your foreground down and to the left and you want your background up and to the right. And so I like to physically place them on opposite sides of my body. And I think this would apply regardless of whatever technique you are using to hold your yarn, because if you keep them separate like clearly separate, they will have no opportunity in the knitting process to tangle up on each other.
Yes.
Every time, even we'll talk about catching floats. You don't have to do that for this project. We'll talk about it next week. Even if you're like doing a large stretch of stitches and you have to catch it or something like that, there are ways to do that without ever having your yarns cross over, which means you never have to untangle them as you go.
Okay.
That it is totally possible. We will walk you through that process and hopefully that will work out for you. Because
I'm interested to learn this because
Yes.
I mean I know about you know, tangling and stuff like that. But
yeah, unlike stripes, I always tangle my yarn for stripes. Maybe I should take a page out of my own book. But for color work, I'm very diligent about having them on different sides of my body. And if once you sort of get into the habit of it, you never the twain shall cross. until you put them in your project bag, and then when you pull
Yeah.
them back out again, they'll be like, oh, we're tied up.
So for me, when I don't necessarily hold them on either side, but I do hold the yarn in different hands.
Yes.
So I would hold my background color in my right hand because I usually knit with my right hand, and I hold my my contrast color with my left hand because I tend to knit more loosely with my left hand because it's not my not my comfortable hand to knit with.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. And so if we do what we just lined, you've got your foreground in the bottom left, you've got your background in the bottom, the upper right, then you will have set yourself up for the ideal color dominance, and your colors will play that way. And so try and get into the habit now. It's never a never a bad day to build a new habit, because especially if you're going to put this project down and pick it back up again. As someone who's been bit,
yeah.
you know.
When did you start this project?
I started this project in the spring of 2020. I had a lot of time on my hands.
before the world fell apart.
No, after the world fell apart. This was my world fell apart project. And then I got distracted by all of the other world fell apart projects. So I just finished my Felix from the knit along we started 2 years ago. And so I picked this back up again because I thought, this is perfect. We can use it to demo color work.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, if nobody has any questions,
So far, no.
I feel like we should pan the camera down. He's right. He's right where we were going to demonstrate.
So the cat was on the counter
Yeah.
twice. I had to get him down, and then he decided that it would be more relaxing to sit on the table with us. 'Cause
Yes.
he's a craft cat.
Yes, and he was like, I know, this is my big moment.
Yeah.
My 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah. So he'll probably move.
The
on
Farley
this.
life.
But
Yeah.
am I moving it down for you to do a demo now?
Yes, I
Okay.
think we'll do the make one. We can talk about the jog, like theoretically how you do it, and then Caitlin and I will demonstrate how we like to do, or how some of the many ways in which you might use different hands to do color work knitting. Ooh, so exciting. This is it. This is the one that we're...
You might see some little paws.
Oh, you might see a full-blown cat.
How's that?
Yeah, it is good. Well, we know exactly where we need to be. He's right on camera. Okay. Let me go,
Mr.
I'm going to put that there
Okay.
so that I can remember what was there. Okay, so
And I'll come back.
let's get some needles out and some yarn to do the make one. Okay. Am I on screen?
Yes, the knitting needles are on screen.
Fantastic.
You love my beautiful table with all the, scratches and stuff on it?
Oh, I mean, my coffee table is a hot mess, but it has character. All right, so I've got my little swatch here. And I'm going to start with a make one right, and then I'll do a make one left. So I'm just going to start by knitting. I'll knit 2 stitches. 1 and 2. So as a refresher, this is what we're going to be doing to do that increase row before we jump into our color work. So to make one right, we're going to look between our stitches here and look for this little leg right here that is essentially coming from this stitch and the stitch below here. We've got this little leg. We're going to lift him up and turn him into a stitch. He's always wanted to be a stitch, and now he gets his chance. So we'll take the tip of the needle for the right. We're going to take the tip. We're going to swoop from behind and pick up that little stitch with that little leg right there. And we're going to knit into it regularly. Grab your yarn, come back out, and we have a stitch. And we have added one, and it's sort of just subtly been added here instead of the bump you get from a knit front and back. So I'm going to just knit a regular stitch again just to get away from him. And then again, we're going to look for that little piece of yarn right there. come from behind, and knit it regularly. And this is always really awkward because this yarn is being pulled and tensioned right up against the needle. So it should feel weird and like uncomfortable to get in there. That's how you know you're doing it right. If it's easy, you've probably gone in the wrong direction. So there we go. We've done our make one. We knit another. And so the make one left is very similar, except you're going to come in from the other direction. So there's our little leg right there. My needle is going to come in from the front instead of the back. And once again, we have to make it really uncomfortable and awkward. So instead of going from the front, which is super easy, we have to knit through the back loop. Oh, so awkward and uncomfortable. It never gets better. Wrap our yarn, come back out, and now we have our little make one left. And then knit another stitch. So tip goes from the front, lifts that up. We're gonna knit through the back loop here. Go. And we've got another little knit one left, make one left. So if I knit across the row, we can look at this one needle and see what we've got here. So we have some little added stitches. You can see there's one row, or sorry, one column here, and that's where we've added a stitch. And these ones kind of slant a little bit to the right. And then if we look at the left, this one slants to the left here, and so does this one here. So make one right or make one left. Doesn't matter which one you choose, you'll be totally fine. I usually do make one right because it feels less work.
Makes sense.
And I am lazy.
Well, because you don't have to go through the back, right?
That is exactly it. Thank you, Caitlin. So either one will work, and it will make absolutely zero difference to your project which one you choose. Yay.
Perfect.
Okay, let's really quickly, I think we promised everybody a shot of the chart again real quick. So, can you see the chart?
Yes. There's a delay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here is this chart, and this is just like, I just used some graph paper to build this one. So on the pattern that we're using, and most charts will have the numbers along here, so like 1 through 12 in our case, and then they will number the rows going up this way, and that's usually how I tell where you're supposed to start. 1 here, which means this would be your first stitch. And so in this case, for the first row, you would do 2 green, 1 purple, 3 green, 1 purple, 3 green, 1 purple, and so forth and so on.
And the reason, the reason that there is it 2 at the beginning? 2 green?
Yes, it's because my pattern is offset.
It's because when you come around to the end, there's going to be 1 green.
Right there.
So that's going to be where it connects. So when you are finished that piece, there's going to be 3 green, 1 purple, 3 green, 1 purple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can see that here too with this yellow and green row, that it starts with the yellow, ends with the green, and it's like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and so forth. Yeah. And so in this pattern, just while I'm here, I think I made my life a lot easier and didn't put in any big chunks of any one color. I think this is probably the closest section where I've got 5 gray in a row here and 5 gray in a row here. So next we'll talk about what you would do when you have a longer stretch of stitches. You also see that a little bit in this particular pattern up here, that there's little methods that you can use to catch the yarn that's on the back so that it doesn't look super sloppy, and also that it's less likely to get caught on things.
Yeah.
This cowl that we are doing in this knit along has pretty short floats. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about floats. We're talking about the yarn on the back side. So we don't really have to catch them because we're not having any really long stretches, and it's not likely that your finger or your glasses or something is going to get stuck on that.
I think they usually say like 5, anything longer than 5 stitches or an inch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's usually
Then
what I
you
do.
want to catch those floats.
Yeah, I will usually catch at 5 or above. So, yeah. Okay, so we have done that. I'm gonna do the jog and then some color work and then you do some color work.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so,
No questions yet.
okay.
But if people have any questions or,
Yeah.
you know, if that wasn't clear or you need something explained a second time or differently, then you just let us know.
Everyone's like, nope, I'm gonna watch it back on slow.
Yeah.
Forget that noise.
You know, you can watch stuff on half speed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too. Frequently when I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, so I'm all good to
Yep.
demo? Great.
Mhm.
So that first row, when you transition from your ribbing to the body of your cowl, remember she talks about slipping that first stitch so that you can avoid that jog. So if you want to do that, I didn't, but if you want to, literally all you're going to do is if you're at the beginning of you've knit your increase round, about to knit the second round, you just slip that first stitch over and keep going. And that's all you have to worry about. Very easy.
That's it.
That's literally it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't work that stitch and just go into the next one and start knitting. So you're all
Okay.
good. Okay, so I have,
Easy peasy.
yeah, very easy peasy.
Mhm.
But sometimes, you know what, sometimes it's like written in a way where you're like, oh no, it's a thing. And you realize, oh no, it wasn't a thing. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have set up myself here with my background yarn, like I said, on the right. I've got my foreground yarn on the left. So let's talk turkey about stranded color work. So the easiest thing that you could do would be to just knit your stitch, drop your yarn, grab the next yarn, and keep going. And you are more than welcome to do that. I do I want to say the vast majority of my first color work project like that. And so what that would look like is, I think this is a 2-1 repeat. So I'm doing 2 pink, 1 purple, 2 pink, 1 purple. Do
Yeah.
not worry, Caitlin, about maintaining this. I'm
Oh,
going to
okay.
take back whatever we
Right,
do on
okay.
camera. So I've just done 2 pink, so I need to do purple. So I'll go in, I'll pick up my purple yarn, and I want to make sure that I'm maintaining that order. So my purple yarn is underneath. I don't want to grab it from here and wrap it over. I want to make sure it stays under my pink yarn. And I'll grab that, and then I'll drop it. I'll grab my pink one. It's going to loop over the purple because it's above, and I'll knit 2 stitches. Then I'll drop that, pick up the purple again from underneath, knit another one, and you can see very easy to do this. As I'm going though, I do want to kind of keep my stitches sliding down here so that I'm not puckering or pinching the fabric here, which would be much more noticeable in these sections down here where I've got longer stretches. You don't want that to pucker. So again, just move my stitches down a little bit, grab a purple, and do 2 pinks, and so on. Great. So that is arguably the slowest method, short of not doing it at all.
Yeah.
That would be the slowest method. And so there are several ways that you can adjust in order to make things move a little bit more quickly and hopefully with a little less disruption as you are knitting. And so one of the ways to do that is to hold both strands in your hand at the same time so that you're not dropping them. You have to do a little bit of fancy finger work in order to make that work. So I'm going to, okay, hold on. This is not the way that I do it, but you can do it this way. So thread your yarn through your fingers, tension as you like. Again, I want to keep the purple on the bottom, pink on the top, and maybe stretch them out slightly on my finger. And so I'm on a purple, I'm going to go in here and wrap just with the purple yarn. And then I'm on pink, so I'm just going to wrap. Ooh. You can get rings that also separate them. I forgot to bring mine with me.
And it takes a bit of
Finagling.
like to get used to it, right?
I'm going to, nope, I wanted to do it the other way. There we go. And I want these on different fingers maybe. Yep. So pink and pink.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And then have the purple on a different finger, but better tensions. There we you go, and so forth and so on. I'm slightly more proficient at doing that on my left hand, so that would be throwing. So separate either with a gap on this finger or have one coming off the index and one coming off your middle finger, or get one of those rings, which I promise I'll bring next time. Yeah, no, it's not my thing.
I don't have
yeah, no, it's literally in my little basket at home.
It's like a ring with little
Little doohickeys.
little spools.
Yeah.
Or little like it's like a wire
Yeah, it's almost like a key ring.
hook, like a hook.
Yeah, yeah, that holds the strands separate. It usually only works, I think, with your left hand. So if you knit continental, but I think there's an alternative for whatchamacallits. Not continental knitters. Oh my gosh. Throwers. There we go. Okay. Same kind of thing. You're going to go in and pick up your pink. Oh my god. There we go. Go in, pick up your pink. I'm just not tensioned well. Here we go. Or go in and grab your purple. And so it's a little bit easier if you are a picker as opposed to a thrower, because your yarns aren't being moved around. You're just grabbing them from a stationary position. So both of those are totally doable with a little bit more practice. But I think, Caitlin, you and I both enjoy a hybrid method, don't
Yes. Yes, I do.
Come
We
on
do.
over and showcase it.
Okay.
Nope.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like that guy from that TikTok that like his like neighbors keep surprising him and he keeps screaming. So
Yes.
let's move it back just a little bit.
Okay, good.
Yep, hold on a second. Yeah. Yes.
And if I'm right here, that works?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so I've got the pink yarn on my right side, purple on my left. So I'm usually, I usually knit with my right hand. So I'm gonna hold my, my pink the way I normally hold my yarn. And then I'm going to, I actually learned how to knit this way just so I can do color work.
Same here. I also learned how to knit continental for color work.
Okay, so I've got my yarns held like this.
Oh.
So what are we on here?
It doesn't matter. I
Let's
think I
just say
destroyed it.
it's,
Do whatever.
2. So I'm gonna go 1, 2.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go 1. And then I'm gonna go 1, 2.
Oh yeah, this is hands down my favorite.
And then I'm gonna do 1. And because I normally don't knit with this left hand, I'm a little looser with it.
Same here.
Because I'm, you know, I don't, I'm just not as comfortable tensioning it. So it kind of works out.
Yes.
That one is a little bit looser.
Yeah.
So
it's just
it
a little more
allows,
prominent.
yeah. And like Emily said, you just want to keep moving those stitches down, because if they're scrunched up, then your floats are not gonna
Exactly.
be very well tensioned.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah, and I'd love to draw attention to the fact that my color work is kind of lumpish and imperfect.
Oh yes.
Yeah, like the
Well-
tension isn't perfect, and that's totally fine because that's what wet blocking is for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful.
It looks nice when you stretch it out. When you let
Let's,
it go, it's kind of a bit lumpish.
Let's
so.
take a moment to
Oh,
admire this,
no.
because it is absolutely stunning.
It is.
I don't know if it's just the
very
colors or you picked great colors.
I'm pretty sure I said to a friend, "It's like I am sad, so I will make a sweater with all of the colors." And here we are.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Amazing. Okay.
Thank you, Caitlin. No questions still, so
Yeah. Was there anything
good.
else we were going to demo?
I don't think so. I think that was it for demonstration. So
Okay.
let's slide that paper towel holder back underneath.
Oh my goodness.
and do our final summation. And remember, children, always troubleshoot your technology. We do every time. There's always something.
It always seems like it's fine, and then it slowly falls.
Yeah. But we do it. We do it for you. No, we do it for me. I just get a kick out of it every time.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. The quote unquote homework I think for this week is just to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Plug away. Come back next week with questions or comments. If you find tips or tricks or resources or
Yeah. And if you're working on it and you want to take some pictures, tag us on Instagram because we love seeing your progress.
Thank you, Angela.
Oh, Angela says thank you.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah. And if you're having any issues or anything, like I'm around the shop during the week, except Wednesdays. So if you're having any issues.
I love talking about yarn, so if they message me, I will be very happy to talk about yarn. Yep, and so next week what we're going to talk about is, it might be shorter, you never really know, but we're going to talk about catching floats. So you don't have to do it for this project, but how would one go about it? And then also I thought it would be great to talk about how to fix a color, the wrong color stitch a couple of rows below.
Okay.
And then we actually budgeted some time for troubleshooting. So please bring your, thank you, Angela. She noticed a mistake. Don't worry, I'm gonna rip it back. I did it myself and I was like, whatever, okay. We'll talk about troubleshooting as well.
It'll be, we can do it on that sample.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we'll see you next week. We've still got 2 more weeks left. So we're pushed back by a week. Yeah. And then we'll see you
Next week?
next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Happy knitting, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
It's about 80 there.